time around I'm going to talk about a technology called MTS-ESP. It's a fantastic sort of invention to retune sets of instruments instead of perhaps going inside your DAW, making tunings to all the individual instruments while playing. If your idea is to perform with a certain instrument and have retunings at hand, this is the sweetest thing, I promise you, because for one, it's free. You can get the ODDSOUND MTS-ESP, I think it's called MINI or something like that. You just load a SCL file or a Scala file into it, and you have a tuning to go to directly from that. I'll be using my Entonal Studio because I already have that, but it's exactly the same thing. I'll be showing you both so that you know what you're looking at. If you have a MTS-ESP Master somewhere, it sort of branches out to every instrument that has this technology in it to receive these instructions from this master unit. And as I said, one of the master units are for free. The software that actually works with this, some of these are also free. So this is my early Christmas present to you guys to try out. Let's start out with some sort of practical use. Say I have 3 instruments stacked on each other. I have 3 different sounds. In this case, I have a stage piano from Arturia. That's the stage 73.5, I think it's called. I also have a saxophone, and this is not controlled by this MTS-ESP technology. So this will always stay in tune from the C major perspective at least. And I also have a Serum breath controlled, and Serum also responds to this tuning and retuning instructions from Entonal as I have. It looks like this to begin with. Now you see that I have something called 12 tone equal temperament. That's the usual temperament that we sort of tune our instruments in. That's the stage piano. I also have a sustain pedal. I really have this Serum instrument already engaged, but since I don't breathe into the controller, you won't hear anything. But if I do at the same time, and I'm gonna let you hear the saxophone as well. Now I have 3 instruments stacked on each other. This can of course be interesting sonically, since I can sort of separate the instruments from how they move, with the bends on the guitar for some instruments and the pedal for some parts that wouldn't work with all the instruments, so I can sort of separate them at least somewhat. But I would like to retune 2 of the instruments, and that would be those instruments that are connected to this technology. If I go down to say something like Olympus pentatonic, I'll get a fine note scale instead. So if I'm going to do something interesting with the saxophone and just the piano, I can look for what notes am I going to be able to play without a hiccup in both these tunings, because the saxophone is going to be still in the same sort of standard tuning that I have from before. It's just going to be engaged by the breath controller. So I'll raise Serum as well. Okay, so that worked fine. I think all 3 instruments are working together, but I have sort of a potential background that is something else from playing one sort of pattern. Or if this is from the pentatonic tuning of the guitar. it sort of takes some getting used to what you could do with that sort of tuning as well. I think everything sounds kind of nice, even if I'm playing what would be patterns from my memory of playing standard diatonic setup scales. I could of course play chromatic scales and get this pentatonic scale out of them. So what happens when we mix these two? I think it's really interesting to play this way because you get sort of two scales to play at once, and the one you're using for the background or for perhaps the chordal works, and in this case with my foot pedal, sustain pedal, I get to listen to it at the same time as I'm playing. So I'm improvising over stuff that I'm really not that knowledgeable as to how it's going to sound. So I'm going to have to be an active listener at the same time as I'm improvising over it. The main idea here is to have this overarching controller unit with this MTS-ESP technology that sort of branches out and take care of all the retuning of your instruments, all the plugins. I just wanted you to know about this sort of technology. So hopefully you have learned something. I guess I'll see you later again. Till then, bye.